Hi, I'm Gouk Jr. and I'm going to be speedrunning Halo 3 on the Legendary difficulty. So we'll jump right into the first mission, Sierra 117. We're going to be playing on the Master Chief Collection on the PC. We'll explain some differences between the Master Chief Collection and the original Xbox 360 edition as the changes come up. So we're dropping to some African jungle, and we're going to immediately run right, which will save a second, with this movement tech called slide jumping. How slide jumps work: if you encounter a slope in the game and have any vertical momentum, you can crouch and jump on it to convert that vertical momentum into forward momentum, which is basic law of conservation of energy, converting that gravitational potential energy into kinetic energy. If there are any physics nerds watching, which is pretty interesting. So it applies to Halo. We'll be using that a lot throughout the run. So right now we're just doing some movement optimizations with slide jumping. That was a pretty good slide jump. And here is this jump is very important. This jump right here is going to skip a couple phantom spawns. Otherwise, this section will be very difficult to deal with because there are a lot of enemies that are going to be dropped out of those phantoms, and there are going to be some grunts on the turrets. So if you aren't familiar with Halo, the basic principle is that plasma weapons are good against shields and bullet weapons are good against non-shields. So we're going to be grabbing a plasma pistol here just to strip down some shields and kill enemies who are unshielded with other weapons such as this brute shot. So we're about to enter the first section while we're encountering actual enemies, and we're going to take a path here that's a lot safer. Although you can go for some slide jumps here to make it a bit faster, but this way guarantees a checkpoint, and it's very useful if you get bad spawns, because these jackals on these trees can spawn in a few different places, and depending where they spawn, they can just destroy your day. See, even with that checkpoint, I almost died, so I'm happy I got through there. So we're gonna throw a nade this jackal and jump up here. Normally you're supposed to go all the way around there. We're going to pepper this guy a little bit, make him stagger, and we're gonna hop around this rock. And we're gonna overcharge this brute. Oh, he dodged the overcharge. That's something they can do sometimes. But we're gonna go ahead and backsmack them. And also another thing that applies to Halo is a hit to the back is an instant kill to most enemies. There are a couple enemies where it doesn't apply to, but for most enemies, a backsmack is an instant kill. So we're going to go for some backsmacks on quite a bit of enemies in the run. So we're going on the river section. We're going to jump down here. I'm low on brute shot ammo, so I'm going to kill this guy to get some of his brute shot ammo. And I'm going to take out this turret so no enemies get on it, and I'm going to kill some of the infamous jackal snipers. Jackal snipers are infamous. If you ever played Halo 2, you'll know what I'm talking about, because they will kill you in one shot almost instantly in that game, but in Halo 3 they are significantly more bearable. And here is one of the more fun sections of the level, the Jackal Forest. They have some different places that they can spawn, so I'm going to be checking for them. And they can either spawn with carbines or jackals, depending on where they spawn. Looks like I got some pretty good spawns here. It's really fun when you get a clean forest, because you just feel so fast. But if you start missing shots like that, it can get a little frustrating, but it's kind of awkward to shoot them. You have to aim a little up above where you think you need to aim. And I have equipment here. So Halo 3 introduced equipment, and I picked up a bubble shield, and that will block any fire, and that makes this section a lot more safer. And we're about to enter the dam section, which is a little bit of a scary section, because checkpoints are going to be scarce, and if you get noticed, it can be a little difficult. But we'll see what happens. And we're gonna go for a slide jump on this rock. I'm already noticed, which is kind of a double-edged sword. it's kind of good because it puts the enemies on the other side of the dam in not a terrible position, but it also makes crossing here a little scary. As you can see, my shields are stripped. I'm going to jump up here and take a safe route through this back building. You can, if you get some good spawns and you don't get noticed, you can go straight to the prison without too much of an issue, but it's a lot safer to go back here. I'm gonna jump here and take out that guy. Probably, luckily that overcharge didn't get here. And we're going to free our boy Sergeant Johnson, because if you're familiar with the story, he got captured at the river, and we had to come and free him. Alright, so this brute over here is a chieftain. They're either going to have a gravity hammer or a plasma cannon or a free rod. This one always spawns with a gravity hammer, and the gravity hammer has some interesting tech we're going to do with it. You're not going to see much of it on this level, but the gravity hammer is probably the most important weapon in the speedrun. So we're going to hop out of this prison here and try to get this gravity hammer. And we're just going to chill in this corner and wait for the Pelican that ends the mission to arrive. Then we're just going to clear out these enemies to make it safer. If you clear out enough enemies, it will actually make the Pelican come in faster, but on Legendary, we're just trying to clear out the enemies to survive. We're not going to speed up the Pelican here. But on the easy difficulty, they clear out the enemies fast enough to actually bring in the Pelican. Yep, and just in our safety corner, nothing too much can hurt us. There is a sniper jackal on that roof, but we also have an invincibility equipment, so we shouldn't have any problems with him. We gotta wait for an audio cue, jump, and we're actually gonna enter the Pelican early. So how that works is you can get in the Pelican at any time. So, and we just combined a nade jump with a gravity hammer swing to actually get inside the Pelican and end the mission, because the mission just checks if you're inside the Pelican to end.
Sorry for the tight squeeze. Tell the commander her ace is in the hole.
Had to plug in my mic there for a quick delay, but now we're entering Crow's Nest. We start out with no weapons. We're just going to be running to the next section, pick up our weapons here, and just keep on walking as quickly as you can. I'm gonna shoot a Marine here, try to pick up his nades, and get him out of the way. Capital D colon.
Chief? Good.
That's just one of the instances where we kill our friends in the run. Alright, this first session can be a little awkward, so I'm gonna focus a little bit. Bounce some grenades off this crate and get as many enemies as I possibly can. I'm gonna overcharge this brute and kill him. I actually killed a lot more enemies. The goal of killing that brute is actually to make the enemies around him start getting scared, because once you kill a brute... Oh, I actually died there. I missed a jackal, so I'm gonna have to do this again. Yeah, this section can be a little scary. Yeah, some enemies are alive this time, so I'm gonna overcharge them, and you'll see these enemies get scared, so I can just walk right by them this time. Yeah, it just shows how fast you can get killed on Legendary. And these grunts can be annoying and drop some nades, but just had to step back a little bit, and they'll be fine. Now we're ending the hangar, which is basically the auto-scroller of Halo 3. There's gonna be 3 phantoms that come in that drop enemies, and there's nothing we can do to speed it up, so we just kill them and try not to die. So this would be a good spot for like any donations or announcements in the run. And if I die, it'll just be a sad time. But there's nothing we can do. You can very well lose time, but yeah, no way to speed up. But we still try to kill the enemies as fast as possible, just because speedrun fun. Not too much to explain here. We're going to actually grab a deployable cover here for later in the mission. And we're gonna shoot this box here for later in the mission. So we're just setting up some stuff. Because how this level works is we're going to run backwards through it later. So this Phantom is going to drop 3 grunts, then and a brute, then 2 more brutes after that. Okay, that brute just decided to dodge my plasma pistol shot. That one's fine. And there's actually different tiers of brutes. The lighter shades of brute armor are minors, and they're the weakest. The ones with dark blue are majors. They often have like brute shots, and they are more difficult to kill. And then you have the chieftains, which we saw at the end of Sierra. We'll see some more chieftains throughout the run. We gotta take out this turret because we're going to run backwards, and we're going to grab this plasma grenade. Then we're going to throw that plasma, overcharge that brute, and start heading on our way out. And then some more enemies are dropped. We're going to kill them while running backwards. And get out of this hangar. And it's finished. And there were a couple of spike grenades that I forgot to get, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. I'm going to draw a smiley face here, because smiley faces are fun. Yep, now we're just running back where we came from earlier. We're going back to the control room, and we're going to do a really cool trick called truck boost. Saved like 45 minutes with that one. It only saved like a couple seconds, but it's still really fun. Small optimization. Another small optimization that came out with PC, just flicking behind you, doing some brute shot boosts. Alright, now we're entering the drone room. So there's some drones out here. We're gonna jump and throw a nade and try to kill all 5 of them that are there, and that reduces the number that comes out through this pipe. And we grab this deployable cover because bullet weapons can actually shoot through the deployable cover to make this a lot safer. So if I didn't have this deployable cover, I'd probably be getting melted by these drones. And I swap out the brute shot for a plasma pistol because I'm going to need that in the next section. And I'm actually punching the air here because I'm delaying a checkpoint. I'm tricking the game to thinking I'm in combat with a melee, so I can get a checkpoint here. And that's important because I want that checkpoint, and I do not want a checkpoint in this room because this chieftain has an invisibility equipment that I want. And if I get a checkpoint here and he has another equipment, I won't be able to get his invincibility. He'll have that other equipment all the time. I actually got a spike grenade there. So we have the gravity hammer here, and that, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important. You'll see why in a second. I'm going to throw a grenade here. Oh, I didn't very good. So yeah, that's why the gravity hammer is so important in this speedrun. Is you can run up to a box or a grate, swing the hammer, and get a boost. So it just it has like a rotating effect. So it sends the grate into you and launches you at the force that the gravity hammer puts into it. So that's going to be very important throughout the run. And with that specific launch, that's called barracks skip, and that saves going through the barracks, and that saved about 2.5 minutes. So now we're about to go to the jetpack clear, which has a bunch of jetpack brutes.
I've got movement. Above ambulance.
And I'm going to kill 2 jetpack brutes, and that's going to spawn some reinforcements at the top. And once I kill all the reinforcements at the top, it's going to spawn another wave of reinforcements that come out of the door at the bottom. And I'm going to try and kill them as soon as they come out of that door. And the goal here is to kill everything as fast as possible and not die because the revert is pretty lengthy. And I'm going to pick up an active camo equipment here and jump down here and try to get these guys as soon as they come out. Oh, I actually had to reload. That could have been bad. This guy's hiding back here. Actually, not a bad jetpack clear. I'm pretty happy with that. So now we're moving on. Some drones are gonna spawn here. We're just gonna throw a nade and run past them.
Go! Go!
It's more often, it's more of a thing you can die from your friendly marine nades than actually die from those drones, which when it happens is kind of frustrating. And I actually didn't explain Cortana moments. So Bungie implemented Cortana moments to put in story moments without interrupting gameplay, but they slow down your movement speed to a crawl, and it's very annoying in the speedrun. Actually, I didn't activate my camo there, so I died there. So I need to activate my camo sooner. This section is very difficult without having active camo. The whole reason of grabbing that active camo is for this section. But yeah, on those Cortana moments, the goal is to speed up as much as we possibly can. There's some we can skip. We did one on Sierra 117, but yeah, some of them you just have to run through. And now we're in the bomb room, so we're just going to take out this guy, throw a nade here, and jump around. So those nades are important because I needed those roots to stagger with that, so I don't get brute shot on the way out. And now we're just running our way back to the end of the mission. And it's gonna be another Cortana moment here coming up, so we're gonna try to grenade and hammer our way through it. And now here's a really fun trick that is coming up. Some say it's the most important in the game. We're gonna fire a BR burst to alert these drones, and we're going to combine some melees and reloads to ride on the drone. I didn't do it very well there, but yeah, you can ride these drones all the way to this door. Unfortunate that I didn't get it. And now here we have another Cortana moment here. So we're going to try a grenade and hammer our way through this one again. That was a good boost. And here's that box we set up earlier in the mission. We're going to do a box launch off of it and go to this elevator and end the mission. Alright, we have about a 30-second elevator ride here to the end of the mission.
This place will become your home.
And I can start explaining some of the next mission, Sabo Highway. Sabo Highway is going to be the driving mission of the game, where we're going to be in the Warthog almost the entire mission. And there's going to be some RNG elements and some things we can do to mitigate those RNG elements inside the level. We'll explain some things as I come across them.
What happened?
Chief, please respond.
You can walk.
We're gonna shoot the sergeant to put him in a slightly blurred position. Gonna hit this button to open this door. It takes a little bit of time to open that door, so it's better to hit the button first than get in the Warthog. And we're gonna get some Marine friends in this Warthog. Alright, now that we have Marines in our Warthog, we're going to head out. It's important to get Marines in the Warthog because they soak up a lot of damage, and that's going to be very important for one of the sections coming up, because you will get absolutely melted if you do not have Marines, and sometimes you get absolutely melted if you do have Marines. We'll just see what happens.
Second squad, we're coming through.
And make our way out of the compound. Drive to the right here. Try to take the optimal driving route and not lose any speed if we can help it. And there are a couple sniper jackals over here. They shouldn't bother us.
Chief, still can't get the commander. Comms are a mess.
And hopefully the Marine starts shooting at this grunt on the plasma turret, so he gets off of it and increases our probability of getting a checkpoint right about here. There it is. I'm glad we got that. And we're going to take a specific driving path so we don't get hit by a beam rifle jackal. Almost got flipped by one of the beam rifle jackals, but we made it through without any issues, which I am happy about, because sometimes you can die in that section and get reverted. And we got a good checkpoint, so it wouldn't have been too much of an issue. We're going to park our Warthog here and grab this fresh Warthog. And we're going to pick up another equipment, which is the gravity lift right here. Then we're going to take a specific driving path over to the shield door. Unfortunately, we have the shade turret on the left side. If he's on the right side, we don't have to stop and wait for shields. But since he's on the right side, he'll shoot us on the way out, so we have to stop and wait for shields. We're going to nade this shield door and head on out. So we grabbed this gravity lift to perform a bridge skip that's coming up. The bridge is going to be broken because the game doesn't want you to progress in a Warthog anymore. They want you to go on foot. And there's like a big wave fight, but we're going to just take the Warthog over and just skip that entire wave fight. You can do this without a grab lift, but it's kind of a precise lineup, and if you miss it, it'll start losing time the more you miss it. And we're going to take a specific driving path through this pipe here to avoid as many enemies as we possibly can. We're going to drive to the left here and trying to avoid this fuel rod guy. And hopefully we get a checkpoint here. I would definitely appreciate that. Okay, it looks like I got the Wraith deload. That's a recent discovery we found. If you turn your reticle in a certain way, has the possibility of deloading that Wraith and making this driving section a lot safer. But these choppers can also be annoying and ruin your day. Hopefully these guys don't hurt me. Okay, we stripped their shields and splattered one, so we were fine, but that was a little sketchy. And we're gonna drive over here in the Brute Chopper. This is an interesting vehicle that's made to just crush other vehicles. But some people do not like the driving mechanism of this, and we're going to boost up here. Normally the game wants you to go all the way up and around that hill. And we're gonna head to the end of the mission. And we're gonna have a specific boost pattern here. Boost past these guys and try not to take any damage. And we're going to jump out right here. And the requirements for ending the mission are taking out that shade turret and the shield door. So once those requirements are hit and you are close enough to the end trigger, the level will end like that. And that's Sabo Habu. That was a pretty solid Sabo. I'm pretty happy with that. So we have another 30 seconds of downtime at the start of Storm, where we're just driving to the start.
Chief, the Prophet of Truth has found the Ark.
I guess we can use this time to catch up on a little bit of lore. Right now we're hunting down the Prophet of Truth because he's trying to activate the Ark to take out every Halo ring, which will destroy every sentient being in the galaxy. And we're trying to stop him from doing that. And right now the purpose of this mission is to destroy an AA turret so we can get some air attacks on the evil Prophet of Truth. So we're taking this Warthog at the start. We're going to drive through this first section, try to kill these grunts, get some plasma grenades. Got one, so I'm pretty happy about that. These guys shouldn't be an issue. And hop back in this Warthog and drive it through the rest of this first section. We're gonna try to splatter as many enemies as we possibly can here and grab one of these ghosts. And hit this. This button isn't available to hit until we get that loading done message. And I got a checkpoint here, which I'm happy about. So this is the first lake bed, which is an interesting section. It's on a quota, so once you kill the AA Wraith that's down below and a ghost and enough enemies to accompany it, we'll get the loading done to actually start the next section. So we should get the loading done here. Yep, we got it. So we can go ahead and progress with the rest of the mission. Got a checkpoint here, just in case anything sketchy happens here. We're going to drive our ghost through some of these enemies. We're going to ignore the enemies behind me and jump down here and pick up a rocket launcher. That's going to be useful because we're going to be coming up on the second lake bed and we're going to deal with a lot of vehicles and a lot of enemies, so the rocket launcher is going to be very useful to have.
Gods and demons.
Alright, going to hop on this mongoose and head to this section with our marine friends, and there are going to be some missile pods. So another thing that Halo 3 added is these missile pods and turrets that you can detach and run around with, which is pretty cool, and they're going to be very helpful in this section. I'm going to pre-fire a rocket because that Phantom is going to drop 2 ghosts, and looks like I got enough kills. And so for this section to end, we're going to have to kill both AA rays. Every vehicle in the area has to be dead. And yeah, and every Phantom that comes in has to be deloaded or killed. So our goal here is going to be killing all the Phantoms the Phantoms that leave the area, because the first one that comes in doesn't really matter because it's when the last one leaves when it really matters. So if we can kill the second Phantom, we can actually save quite a bit of time because it'll speed up the rate when this wave comes in and the rate when the section ends. So we're going to pre-fire another rocket here. And we're going to look for the medals on the left to see if I kill 2. Oh, I actually this missile pod's actually dead, so I'm not going to be able to kill the Phantom, but we're just going to try and take out both the ghosts here. So this is a little bit of improvisation I'm going to have to do here, because the section will not end until all the enemies and vehicles are dead. There's one of the ghosts down. These Banshees actually don't matter. So there still must be a ghost alive somewhere, so I'm going to try and hunt him down. So this is one of the things that can happen with this. Okay, so I actually got a timer. So actually, if there's an enemy in a vehicle for too long, the section will actually just end itself. That's something that Bungie implemented. They didn't want the game to stagnate, so they decided to put things on timers. So what we're doing here is actually we're going to go for a clip because the game is dropping in one of the big Scarab tanks that we're supposed to fight. But if we just deload it, we don't have to fight it and go into the next section. Yep, and we use that mongoose to clip that wall. But we have to wait for that Scarab to spawn in first to actually deload that section, or else we'll soft lock.
Well done, Chief.
So yep, we deloaded the Scarab so we can progress through the mission. We're going to delay another checkpoint here, and we're going through the warehouse section. This section can be annoying because there's a lot of enemies, and we're going to have to throw some precise grenades to deal with them. And use some of our rocket launcher. And we're going to try to obtain the bubble shield equipment. It looks like there's one right here, which I'm glad we got. And we're going to use that right here so we don't have to have any issues with these enemies. And we're just going to progress to the rest of the mission. We have to throw a grenade here to move this truck's load and jump up here. And we're going to grab the sniper rifle, break this window, then use it to break this chieftain's armor and kill him. So something interesting that's happened here, that's one of the main differences between the Xbox 360 version and the Master Chief Collection, is this section likes to deload your equipment a lot more often. So normally there's an invincibility equipment that we like to grab, but it's almost always deloaded on the Master Chief Collection, so it's a rough time trying to grab that, so we have to just keep some rocket ammo and deal with the section that way. And now we just have to kill this AA gun, and we're going to throw a couple sniper shots into it, then kill it with one long-range plasma pistol bolt. That's all it takes to kill that AA gun. Not a bad storm considering what happened at the second lake bed with the ghosts just deciding to hide. So now we're entering one of the most exciting levels to watch, called Floodgate. It's almost all movement and using gravity hammers and box launches. And we're also going to display the deployable cover launch in this mission. I'll explain that when we get to it, but this level is very fun for the spectator. If you're a casual fan of Halo 3, you're going to love this mission, because we're going to get a full gravity hammer at the start of the mission right here, and there are plenty of boxes to launch up of, as you'll see shortly. And we're going to angle this box, Almost splattered on the truck, but we're going to use that here. We saved probably about, even with that bad launch like that, you can get all the way to that door. We saved a few seconds. Then we're going to angle this box and do another launch. That one was kind of weak. Then we're going to use a grenade to try to blast this cone to us, to combine hammer swing to give us a decent boost. And we're going to do another box launch here and try to get and jump through the floor and get this deployable cover equipment. I did not mean to throw a spike grenade there. We're going to, there's a Cortana moment here, and we're going to try and skip it. I unfortunately failed because I threw a bad grenade, but if you do not hit the floor there, you will skip this Cortana moment, save a few seconds. And we're going to do another box launch. Go straight to this door. And here is where we're going to do a deployable cover launch. I'm going to just let the trick speak for itself.
This is the carrier, Shadow of Intent. Clear this section while we deal with the flood.
So, yep, I went all the way from back there to here. So how that trick works is once you enter a deployable cover, the game wants to force you out. And how it does that is it puts a force vector on you, and if you leave with the correct speed, it will maximize that force vector, and you will just go flying. You can get much more powerful launches like that. And that's another difference between the Bungie version and the Master Chief Collection, is that they're much more powerful in this version of the game, and that's because this game runs on 60 tick 60 tick rate, and that makes these launches a lot better. And we're going to go for what we call pizza launch, is we're going to do a box launch and jump off of a trip mine. You can also jump off of equipment in this game, and that becomes very useful for that section. And yeah, with the 60 tick rate, it just makes these launches a lot more powerful, and actually makes it possible to clip with the deployable cover. So now I'm just trying to optimize some hammering through this moment. It's we're now talking to the grave mine, not Cortana, but it has the same effect as the Cortana moment. And we're just going to jump our way to the rest of the mission. This mission is the shortest in the game, but it is one of the most fun. And we're going to try to slide jump our way through this moment and hit this button to end the mission. And that is Floodgate. Very fun level. Now we're entering the Ark. So this is what we call the bulk of the run. Starting on Ark and the level after it, the Covenant, it takes up a lot of the run. They're the two longest missions, and they're probably the most difficult missions, if you ask a lot of people. Well, I think they're also the most fun missions. They have a lot going on, a lot of vehicles, and this mission specifically has a lot of sniping, which I am a fan of. So we're actually now on the Ark and trying the place where the Prophet of Truth is trying to kill everybody with, and we're trying to stop him, and we're just trying to see what he's up to. And we're going to slide jump here, and this first section is a little difficult because we're going to have to hit some of our sniper shots here, and we're going to grab this guy's brute shot and run through and not die. Okay, these jackals ran forward, so we shouldn't have any issues. And there's going to be a couple more of these carbine jackals that run through, and we'll just clap them. And we're going to take out this guy who has a carbine. Then we're going to combine a frag grenade and a brute shot to skip this entire AA section. Normally you have to fight a bunch of enemies there and a couple hunters that drop in later, but we can just combine that brute shot and a frag grenade and on top of that box and just skip the entire thing, which is pretty neat because dealing with that section otherwise is kind of slow and kind of tedious. So we're going to not miss snipes and take out that guy. We're going to run down to this shot down Pelican and pick up this rocket launcher. It's going to be useful later. Well, this guy has a bubble shield. I want that. If we can get any bubble shield we can in this mission, it is very useful. and we're going to pick up this mongoose and drive to this rock. There are going to be a couple prowlers that are going to drive through. We're just going to wait for them to pass by, as we can see on the radar, and we'll be good to go. Then we drive down to the right here to avoid this chopper. Then we're going to grab this ghost because this grunt's too slow to get into it, and drive away. That grunt's also going to jump away, not get in his ghost. These guys, there's two turret guys there, which may seem scary, but they actually really don't do anything to you. And we're going to do some wall riding on this ghost. The purpose of wall riding here is to avoid some ghosts on the ground here. And it's also going to skip a trigger which spawns enemies over this hill, which makes it very difficult to drive through this section. But if you just skip this trigger, there won't be any enemies here, and it will be just a clean drive through. Then now we're going to enter the dawn clear section. We're going to shoot a couple rockets here to kill some enemies and take out this turret guy. So this section is how it works is once there is only one enemy left, it will bring in the fort unto dawn. So we're trying to do that as fast as we can without dying, and we're going to take out these brutes here. I could have got some sick flats, but missed a couple of shots. There's going to be some ghosts that come around this corner. I'm going to use my rocket launcher to take them out, grab this plasma pistol, and you can EMP vehicles with a plasma pistol in this game. So we're going to use that to our ability. And the section will end once these AA wraiths are down and there's only one enemy left. Oh, this guy's in the ghost, so this is going to be a little scary. We gotta wait for him to... We gotta use this wraith recover. Okay, luckily it wasn't too bad because I'm a god and just land my snipes. But that should be the section. And we're going to take our ghost over here. Yep, there's our checkpoint signifying the end of the section. And we're going to swap out our sniper and our rocket launcher with a field rod gun and a brute shot. And we're going to look up at the sky to bring down the fort unto dawn. And we're going to do a trick here called out of bounds tankless. We're going to use, I'll explain in a second because I need an auto cue. I don't think that's far enough. I'll try one more brute shot. Yeah, no. So what I'm trying to do here is get this ghost past a couple of elastic barriers so I can actually get into it. I'm having a little bit of trouble with it right now. It's going low here. Hopefully it doesn't fall off. Okay, I'm having... This is a... I'm firing my brute shot too close to the... Oh, I went inside the elastic barrier, so I actually have to go bring the ghost with inside two elastic barriers. The dawn will, like, air burst will push the ghost through the first elastic barrier, and I have to brute shot it through the second elastic barrier, or else I'll get slingshotted back inbounds. But this section saves about a minute to driving the tank, but unfortunately you won't hear the tank kills everything line, which is kind of sad, but it makes driving through a lot quicker and a lot safer. And now we're going to enter the spark door section. We're going to drop down here. And since we didn't hit triggers, there won't be any enemies spawn here, but now we enter the spark door section, where we're going to have to kill 3 wraiths and a couple of vehicles to progress the section. We're going to combine a slide jump and a brute shot to get up here, and we're going to take out the shade. This phantom is going to drop a wraith and a bunch of enemies, so we want to fire a bunch of shots here, kill as fast as possible. Then we're going to grab this chopper, take it down over here, kill the shade, or just miss it. That's fine too. We'll get later. Then we're going to boost here and try to break this gunner's AI. We were successful in doing that, and we're going to hijack this Wraith. And now we're going to kill this other Wraith. Once this Wraith is dead, we're going to spin around. There's going to be a couple choppers that are going to drive up here. Oh, it looks like they're just really far away for some reason. So we're going to try to hit some long-range shots. Oh, I actually got killed by a ghost there, which is kind of sad because the revert's kind of lengthy, so we get to do that all again. That's what makes this mission really scary, is the length of the reverts are really long. So you have to play really well or else you'll lose a lot of time. So we'll just repeat that process. And we'll kill this Wraith again, or this Phantom again. This time we'll actually try and kill this Shade Turret. And then we'll kill the second Shade Turret. We'll see if we can break this Gunner's AI again. We didn't break this Gunner's AI again, but it shouldn't be an issue. Because we'll just run and punch him. Okay, but his ghost friend decided to kill me again. This also just shows how rough Legendary can be. If one thing goes wrong, it can trigger a lot of things that can go wrong. And just lose you lots of time, but we'll just keep going. Shouldn't be too much of an issue to get through this area, I hope. That's one of the things that having the tank is useful for, is it makes this section a lot safer. It just makes it slower, but doing out of bounds is pretty fun. Alright, shouldn't have any issues with enemies this time. Going to get the Wraith. Boost over here. Use the spark recover. Go around and maybe these choppers will actually come up this time. Okay, yep, they did it. Dude, no way. Well, this is it's also a little bit of a de-rust run for me, so this is just trying to run through the section, avoid making mistakes. So this time we'll definitely make sure to take out that Shade. Alright, there's one. There's two. The gunner broke that time. Kill him, get the driver. I might die to the Wraith here. Okay, no, he's fired over there. Good. We're going to fire here to try and draw him out. Good. Comes out. Do the same thing. Very close to dying again. Okay, we're good this time. Let me just put the difficulty of Legendary on display, because specifically with vehicles, they will absolutely melt you. Now we just have to wait for Spark to open this door and progress with the rest of the mission. This is kind of a spot where I like to go and drink some water. Now the door's open, we'll come over here. We have to wait for him to open this door. Then we activate this button to activate the light bridge so our friends can come through. And now we're going to enter the Scarab section. There's going to be another Scarab tank, but we actually have to kill it this time. And and I'm going to do some specific pathing to make this section a little safer. So I'm going to drive here, fire a field rod shot to blow up this Phantom's turret, and I'm going to drive down to where the Scarab is going to land, because right now it's crawling on top of that building, and we're going to try to get it to jump on the Scarab as soon as it lands and kill it as fast as possible. We gotta set up for it. Gotta use a visual cue and get on top of the Scarab, and we got. I even had to wait a little bit there because the Scarab is actually invincible until it finishes its landing animation, so I had to wait for it to do that. And now the Scarab is dead, and we're going to drive back to the area where we started driving from and take a safe path to the top of the spire, because we're going to have to drive to the top of the spire, and there's a lot of enemies there, and they have fuel rods and stuff, and it's kind of scary, but we're going to take this driving route. These raids shouldn't be a bother. We're going to use this incline here and boost up it to land on the side of the spire and just make our way up. We got a nice little checkpoint here, so won't have issues if we die here. And we're going to drop down here and hop out of our chopper. We're gonna take out this beam guy because he can one-shot you very easily. And we're just gonna chill in here and wait for Spark to let us in. So get your capital D colons ready because we're going to kill another friend here. Sag. But yeah, we killed that guy because he has dialogue that won't open this door we need to get through until he finishes that dialogue. But if we just kill him, it will skip that dialogue and the door will open faster. And we grab the sentinel beam because we're going to need that later. And we're going to enter the spire. We gotta punch this guy in the back after he just got done going to the bathroom. Poor guy. And make our way down into the map room. If you remember the mission Silent Cartographer from Halo CE, this is basically the same premise. We're going to the map room for the Ark and trying to locate the control room. Alright, we're entering this section, which is a little scary. We're gonna stick that guy with the spike grenade, and we're going to fuel rod these guys and plasma grenade them. And we have our trusty bubble shield here, so we can just walk on through without any issues. And we're going to hit the button for the cartographer. This isn't the end of the mission. There's some enemies that show up, and we're going to go deal with them so our boy Sergeant Johnson can pick us up.
Follow the Oracle, Spark.
Alright, so we're going back through this room, which is, again, scary. Because there's a bunch of enemies here and they can overcharge you. And this ramp is what really scary because there's a bunch of brutes with a weapon called a Mauler. And there's a chieftain there with a plasma cannon, which he absolutely melts you like you see there. So we're going to try this again. Kill these guys. We're going to punch this guy to try and stagger him so he doesn't start shooting us. And we actually get through that time, so that's pretty neat. And this room has 4 camo brutes, and all these camo brutes need to die, or else they'll run into the next section. And okay, that's something I haven't seen before. The chieftain actually died to a fire grenade, and we're supposed to kill him in this section. And then and we would kill these guys before killing the chieftain, because they would just watch you 1v1 the chieftain. But since the chieftain just ran into a fire grenade, it just made them activate earlier, which makes it kind of awkward. So it's making this section a little bit awkward to deal with, so I have to kind of focus. Okay, we dealt with it much better this time, but that was a little awkward because normally we can just kill them while they're standing there and while the chieftain is running down, but the chieftain just decided to fire grenade himself. And that is the arc. That was kind of a little bit of a rough arc, but yeah. It just shows how difficult Legendary can be sometimes. And we're just gonna wait for our Pelican to pick us up. And now we're entering the Covenant, which is another difficult mission, but is really fun. There's a lot of gravity hammer mechanics and a lot of fun combat. Like, this is a hot drop, and we drop with a Spartan laser, and we're going to have to clear this beach as fast as we possibly can. And we're going to actually trick the game that we cleared the beach by grabbing this AA Wraith that are up here. So if you're a Halo fan, you know that you're actually not supposed to drive these AA Wraiths, that there's no way to get in. But well, I'm going to do some sorcery here and show you that it is actually possible to drive these AA Wraiths. So I'm going to punch this driver, and I'm going to hold the action button and kill him on the same frame as entering the Wraith, and it lets you drive it that way. So if you kill the driver, otherwise the Wraith will just explode because Bungie decided that it didn't want you to drive these Wraiths, but it still has like mechanics for the Wraith. It even has its own special reticle. And we'll just take it to the first tower. The purpose of this mission is there are 3 towers with shields protecting the control room, and we're taking down those shields so we can bring in some air support. So we can take down Truth and stop him from firing the rings. We're just doing some boosty boosts, trying to get here as fast as we possibly can. The alternative to grabbing the A-Wraith is actually clearing the beach. You can get a really fast beach clear, but it's more consistent and consistently faster to grab the A-Wraith because a lot of dumb things can happen with the okay, I need a revert because I missed this ghost. Yeah, but yeah, with beach clear, you need a lot of things to go in your favor, and it's just a lot safer to grab this A-Wraith. And what I failed to do last time is kill that grunt before he gets in the ghost. I'm going to grab this beam rifle and grab his ghost and take it into the first tower. So this section is scary because there are a lot of enemies, and we're just going to try to plow our way through them. Going to sit here and wait for our shields to recharge and hop down and use our bubble shield here and enter the first tower. So yeah, that section is a little scary, but didn't have any issues with it. Going to grab the power drain equipment here. It's an equipment that strips the enemies of their shields, and it's going to be very useful for this top of the tower. We're going to use a grenade to jump on this light beam here. Then we're going to jump up here, throw our power drain, throw a nade right here, and try to take out this group of brutes. Shoot this chieftain in the head. He had a flare, which I'm sad about. It can either spawn with a flare or an invincibility. We want the invincibility, but unfortunately we got a flare. So it's going to make exiting this tower a little difficult, but we shouldn't have too much issues. We have a regeneration equipment, so it's going to make this exit a little more bearable, but ideally you want the invincibility. So we're going to use a spike grenade here and line up a box for a box launch to exit the tower, which is going to look very cool if I actually do it. Oh, it was near perfect. And we're going to grab this camo on the way out. Well, that was beautiful. That's what you want if you don't get an invincibility. If you get an invincibility, you can just run through that section and not have to do that box launch. We're going to kill this guy for some nades and take our Warthog back down to the beach. And we're going to get our first flying section of the game. So the Warthog is actually the fastest vehicle when it's going downhill, when you're at top speed, which looks really cool at high FOV. So we're just driving downhill. going as fast as we can and trying not to hit anything as we drive down. So this group of enemies is actually spawned here now that since we took the AA Wraith up. If we actually finished the beach clear, they would have spawned there with a shade turret, but we can just ignore them. Now we're gonna grab the Hornet. So the fun fact about the Hornet is you'll notice that I'm flying it diagonally. You'll wonder why you'd think that flying it straight would be much better, but flying it diagonally is better because you actually have a higher top speed. We theorize it's about 20% faster to drive diagonally than it is to drive straight forward. I actually got killed by a Banshee there, which is kind of rare. We're seeing a lot of things that don't usually happen in the run, but I actually would drop too low into the water there, which is kind of funny, but I'm trying to take a little bit of a weird path to avoid this Banshee because he's being a little bit of a nuisance. Okay, we're fine this time. And we're just going to hug this rock to make sure no Banshees are mean to us. And we're going to enter the third tower. You're probably wondering why we skipped tower number 2 is our friend the Arbiter. And his elites cleared that tower out for us, but Johnson wasn't able to get this one out. And we're just gonna wait for some brutes to run away here. We're gonna pick up this brute shot, and we're gonna have to clear out 8 drones here. Oh, I actually forgot to do something. I'm supposed to carry a beam through the section. I just mistaken that for my mind just blanked. But we're going to use this brute shot here to clear out these drones. We actually got them in one shot, which is pretty cool. Then we're going to use a hammer swing to get up to the elevator. And we're going to nade jump to the light beam like we did earlier. Going to equip a frag grenade, and we're going to use that frag jump to kill these enemies sooner with the beam rifle. So there are 4 camo brutes here. We're going to collat them and kill this chieftain. If you kill them fast enough that his AI will break, and you can just walk up to him, then stun him and backsmack him and make that section pretty simple. I wanted to grab a plasma pistol there so I can just run through the section. But the game prioritizes equipment over weapons in this game for some reason. So I pick up the power drain, but we should be fine now. So this is another scary section, is exiting the third tower. It is very easy to die, and you need a bit of luck and some pretty good gameplay. So we're going to do a box launch off this box, throw a grenade here, kill this guy, pick up BR. So that's what I mean when you need a bit of luck. Those guys were already looking at me, which is kind of unfortunate. So I was taking a ton of damage. So we'll try to do the same thing, throw a grenade here. Alright, this time they're not looking at me, they're looking at the Arbiter this time. And we are free. And now we're going to take our Goshawk to the ending part of the mission. And we're going to have to fight 2 scarabs. Not 1, not 3, but 2 scarabs. And we just have a little bit of a driving section before that, and just gonna drive past some enemies and take a specific path to not die. Avoid this guy because he can be very annoying and will melt you if he takes the wrong path. But he was nice to us this time. And we get to hear some of Martin O'Donnell's great music. Everyone loves the keyboard riffs in this game. Let it build up. We actually had to slow down there because In this game, it implements a fall timer. If you're falling too fast, it will kill you. And we're going to get in this Hornet and fight the two Scarabs. So we're immediately going to go down and to the left and land our Hornet on top of on this exit of where the brute spawn to block them from coming out. So we can just chill here. So like in Ark, we can't kill a Scarab until it finishes his landing animation, but it's not invincible. If you kill it before its landing animation, it'll just send you flying, which is you can get some pretty fun clips off of that. Then after that Scarab's dead, we're going to move over to this Scarab and trying to jump on top of it. Unfortunately, we turned in an awkward position and I landed right on top of some brute, so we're going to have to do that again.
I count 2 Scarabs. Repeat, 2 Scarabs.
Yeah, this section can be pretty difficult sometimes. It was a lot more difficult on the original version of the game because you couldn't just land the Scarab on top, or land the Hornet on top of the Scarab like that. You had to land on the side of the Scarab and drop down, and you had to hope the enemies wouldn't shoot you, and it was just a lot more difficult. So now we're going to try that again. And actually miss the Scarab this time. So the hardest part about this section is landing on top of the second Scarab, because it can do some fun turns. You can just outright miss it or land on a bad part of it. But we'll just go ahead and kill this Scarab again. And land on the second Scarab. Right, we're fine this time. Go down the leg, get down to the court, punch it. I'm gonna wait for him to turn into a better spot and kill it so I can run behind this rock and get a safety checkpoint. We're actually going to want that Goshawk in a second, so hopefully he doesn't die. But I should be getting a checkpoint here.
Scarabs down. Well done.
We want this guy's Goshawk.
Kill the stragglers.
I didn't get the checkpoint, but it should be fine. We shouldn't die here. And we got take this Warthog up here and meet our friend the Arbiter. Looks like he's on a mission, but this bridge is actually tied to Arbiter's dialogue, so we want to kill the Arbiter here, but he's actually down there. So we can lost about 7 seconds, unfortunately, but not a big deal. And there's a stop area here that doesn't let vehicles through, but if you're out of the vehicle, it'll just let it through, so we'll just hop out. Then it'll despawn, and we're going to jump into the Citadel section. And this actually overlaps the Cortana moment with the cutscene, so we don't have to go slow through that. And now we're going to set up a box launch specifically called Citadel launch, and you'll see that it is a very important launch because we skipped a good amount of fighting and a good amount of walking with that. And we used our camo here to sneak past. We're going to throw a nade here. And we actually want to kill this chieftain. Oh, you turned around there? And we want his gravity hammer so we can get a hammer refill. Then we're gonna make our way to the Citadel button. So that was a little bit awkward, but we got the hammer and we didn't die, and that's what's important. And we're going to hit this button, and it triggers a cutscene, and the Flood were our friends for that first section. Now they're our enemies again, and the Prophet of Truth is dead. Now we're just trying to get out of here.
Head back to the lift. Find a way down.
So we combined a slide jump, a plasma grenade, and a hammer to get a really good boost, and that's called MIB Special. Shoutouts to the Mibulus there. And now this is a really fun section. The return is a very fun section. So we're going to do a box launch off of here. And going to jump on top of this building. we gotta hit a Cortana moment here,
I'm a thief.
and we gotta do another box launch to the end of the mission. If I get a checkpoint, that is. Oh, but okay, yeah, we got it. So this box is in a weird angle, so I'm gonna re-angle it and boost to the end of the mission. And that is the Covenant. Now we're going to enter probably everyone's least favorite mission. Maybe not everyone, most people's least favorite mission, called Cortana. I know casually a lot of people had trouble with it, and especially with just getting lost. I even got lost in the speedrun before because for reasons, but I'm actually going to switch my FPS lock to 60, and I'm doing that because you actually have a higher speed entering these Grave Mine and Cortana moments at 60 FPS, so it makes some of the movement through these moments a lot easier. And I'm gonna need to overlap two of these moments and to make it one moment here, and doing it at 60 FPS is a lot more simple. And once I get down this hole, a Cortana moment will start, and we'll gain speed a lot faster if we just hit both moments. And we grab a Brute Shot and a Bubble Shield here, and we're going to jump up here, and hopefully there is no Brute Shot flood. He has a sword, which is workable, but that flood can spawn with one of three weapons: the shotgun, the sword, or a gravity hammer. Ideally, we want him to spawn with a gravity hammer because we can just pick up his gravity hammer, but if he spawns with a shotgun, he can just one-shot you, and it's very scary. But luckily, we got a sword spawn, so we won't have any issues here. And we're just trying to make our way through the moment as fast as we can. There's going to be a lot of these moments in this mission. That's one of the reasons why this mission kind of sucks, is there's so many moments.
Stolen thoughts and memories.
And we're just trying to, through this moment, I'm trying to slide jump and get as much speed as I possibly can. And now we're going to grab a deployable cover. This is going to be useful for later in the mission. We're going to grab a sword and a gravity hammer. This gravity hammer is going to be used throughout the entire mission. We're actually going to throw the deployable cover down here now, and that's going to be useful for the end of the mission because we're going to have to return through this section, but we're going to have to jump through that hole later, and that deployable covers allows us to do that. Otherwise, we have to just run straight through where the game intends you to go, and that loses about like 10 seconds. So doing that deployable cover jump definitely saves a bit of time. It's not too important, and we grabbed an active camo in that last section, so we can use it here. Otherwise, we'd probably be getting melted by this giant wave of flood because they will be attacking me. They even still attack because I touched one of them, but we won't have any issues with them. And now we're entering a section called Hell Room, and you will see why it's called Hell Room in a second, because there are a ton of spawns, and it is very difficult to survive, but we're going to do a safe method here to pretty much ensure our survival. We're going to Brute Shot jump up here, grab an active camo. Okay, I still died. That just shows how tough this section can actually be. Okay, I have some unlucky spawns, so I'm going to try to change my routing just a little bit. I'm going to take this guy out, jump backwards. Then activate the camo as fast as I possibly can. Then jump up here. Then hammer swing up here. And now we're to the exit. Okay, that section was still a little scary, even with the safe strat. So we're entering another Cortana moment here, and we're going to try to combine some hammer swings and some slide jumps to get all the way to this end part. Alright, this is a cool launch. So we're going to combine a plasma grenade with this launch to angle the box to exactly where I want to go. I kind of messed it up there. Oh, I threw the wrong grenade that time. Make sure we actually have the right grenade equipped this time. Throw this plasma. And we get straight to the section. That wasn't the best you can get, but you can get a lot powerful. Then we're going to grab this deployable cover and start hammering down this hallway through the moment, which saves a good amount of time. And we're going to attempt to stack this moment on top of another moment here. Alright, we got the moment stacked, so we saved probably about like 10 seconds with that. And now we're going to break Cortana out of her stasis, because the purpose of this mission is to free Cortana. Because if you didn't know, at the end of Halo 2, freaking Cortana stayed behind so it can detonate the Covenant City of High Charity. And the grave mine was just chilling here. Now we have her back. And now we have our friend Cortana. Now we're going to throw a nade here, combine it with a hammer swing, and just to get as much speed as we possibly can through this moment. And we're going to try to do a deployable cover launch at this moment to get to the end of the hallway. And I got a sideways launch there, which was kind of to be expected. I got a little greedy, but we're fine. Now we're on the return section, which is scary because checkpoints are going to be very scarce throughout the rest of the mission. So we're going to run to over here, enable the reactors to drop down, grab our brute shot ammo, destroy these reactors as fast as we possibly can. We're just chilling our bubble. Let our shields come back. Then we're going to run out, kill these guys, try to kill as many enemies here as we possibly can. We actually got launched backwards somehow, but I haven't seen that one before, so we're just gonna do that again.
We need to buy some time. This reactor, start a chain reaction. Destroy High Charity.
Kill that guy, just kill anybody that comes in our safety bubble. Kill these reactors again. And just chill here for a minute. Now we'll run out. Throw some nades at these guys again. He just ran up like a dummy. We're gonna run back here for safety. There's gonna be a Mauler guy that comes out here that can one-tap you, but we kill him before that happens. Getting chased a little bit here.
You need to get to Halo.
And now we're to the real scary section, but we're going to take a safe path here, which is pretty safe. There's still a decent chance of you dying, but normally you don't die taking this specific route. Hopefully there's no flood chasing me, because they can very well chase you and kill you right around here. We gotta try to kill some flood here and get a checkpoint. Unfortunately got some bad spawns here, so I'm not getting a checkpoint here. We're going to activate our camo here, and there's our deployable cover that we left for us earlier. We actually got a really nice checkpoint here. Okay, good thing. He just decided to run and sprint through my deployable cover, so we won't be able to go through that jump. So this is the normal route the game wants you to go through, but otherwise we would have just jumped on top of that DC and done a brute shot jump back to where we came from earlier. And just try to clear some flood out here. Alright, I'm hoping there's no shotgun flood over here, because there very well could be. Alright, looks like we're good. And now we're going to do a very important trip that validates the run called Chap Special. Cool, we brute shot through a little hole there.
I've got a friendly contact.
And we're actually going to empty out our brute shot here before the end of the mission, because in Halo there's a thing called carryover, where in specific missions it will take your weapons from the previous mission over to the next mission. But we don't want that here, so we're going to empty our brute shot here, and it'll make it so we don't carry over to the next mission, because in the next mission we start up with a rocket launcher, and a full rocket launcher, otherwise we wouldn't start with that. Alright. And here's our full rocket launcher. We're actually going to switch back to unlimited FPS here because the game feels kind of clunky at 60. But we're on the level Halo now, the last level of the game. So we have Cortana back now. Now in the story, we're going to try to blow up this ring, this Halo ring we're on right now. If you didn't know, this is the ring we blew up in Halo CE, and it's going under repairs. And if we're trying to blow it up here because it will blow up the rest of the arc with it, and it'll totally eliminate the possibility of someone like the Covenant trying to blow up the entire galaxy with Halo rings. So we're just doing some slide jumps here, trying to run to the spire spot as fast as we possibly can. And we're going to throw a grenade here because this flood right here, I didn't kill him with it, but he always spawns with a gravity hammer, and that's very useful for this mission. And we're going to hammer all the way to the spire. Unfortunately, I kind of messed up, and I wasn't able to jump on top of that ziggurat thing. I was trying to jump on top of it. I'm going to combine a frag and a gravity hammer to jump on top of the spire. Otherwise, we just have to do a bunch of loop-de-loops, finding a bunch of flood, and I don't want to do that. So this way is much faster, even with that revert. So I'm actually going to look over here, then look back, fire a rocket down towards Arby to try and kill as many floods as I possibly can on top of them. Looks like I got 6 of them. And I'm actually going to try and kill Sergeant Johnson too earlier, because at the end of the fight, we would have to wait for him to finish some dialogue. So killing him now lets him respawn and uses his Spartan laser, help us out in the fight without having too much issues. And speeds up the dialogue later. So now we're on the spire fight where there's a bunch of flood just coming up, and we have to just kill them as fast as we possibly can. So we're just gonna let them group up and fire some rockets at them. We're going to try to focus these spire guys because they are the biggest threats here. Then we're going to fire some rockets to these guys, and we're actually going to jump down here because there's some rocket ammo at the bottom that we're going to try to get. Alright, we have our rocket ammo. We have full rockets again. Now we'll use a rocket jump here to get back to the top of the spire. Have a nice little checkpoint here because checkpoints are definitely scarce here. That's one of the scary factors here. And then we're just going to keep using our rocket launcher here to clear out as many flood as we possibly can. Yep. We're going to use a combination of our BR for long range kills and use our rockets to just get some group kills. Oh, looks like we already have the second wave spawning in. So that dialogue signifies that the second wave is coming in. So we're going to jump down here. We're just going to swap over to the fuel rod and just kill these guys as fast as we possibly can. I tried to go for a deload here, but unfortunately I'm going to have to kill all these guys. Looks like a couple of them deloaded, but yeah, not too bad of a fight.
Not for long. I'm tracking additional dispersal pods. They'll be hitting any minute.
Alright, we're actually going to grab this auto turret here. And our hammer again. Juggle this a little bit. We're going to want that bubble shield later in the mission. But this auto turret's going to be nice for a little skip coming up in the hardest final boss that anyone's ever seen.
Do I take life or give it? Who is victim?
Trying to hammer as much as I can through this moment.
It's trying to rebuild itself on this ring.
And we're just running to the final boss. Alright, we're fighting our boy 343 Guilty Spark. He just lasered our boy Johnson, so we're very angry. We gotta shoot this eyeball to death. So this is where the auto turret comes in.
I take no pleasure in what must be.
Okay, we missed the auto turret, but I was supposed to jump off of the auto turret and behind Spark, because otherwise you can't run behind him. He'll just send like a force field that sends you back. But if you go far enough to the left, he won't send you a force field at you. I did it again. I'm kind of rusty at this trick. Okay, we got it this time. We got the hammer swing, now we're behind Spark. Now we're just going to grab the Spartan laser from Johnson to accelerate this sequence. We gotta wait for an auto cue to shoot him, because he is still invulnerable until that specific point. Get the first laser shot. It takes 3 to kill him. And that is the final boss. But we still have some ways to go before we finish the game. We actually juggled the gravity hammer over to this door because the game takes away our weapons, but if we prop the gravity hammer against that door, we can actually grab it through the door. And we have our gravity hammer back. Now there's going to be a few flood spawns here, which I'm going to spam with my assault rifle. Now he has no arms, so he is no threat to me. I'm good. And pick up these plasma rifles, and we're going to run to the end of the mission. So here's our bubble shield that we left for earlier. So there's a couple sentinels here. Sentinels are very scary because they melt you very quickly. So we're just gonna chill down here for a second, let them engage with these flood.
We still have a chance.
And we're just gonna run past them while they're fighting it out.
Find the doorway in the cliffs, Pete. The dawn is on the other side.
So our goal here is going to shoot the hands off these floods, so because they can't shoot us without their hands. Looks like I failed at one of them and he aggroed onto me, so this is going to be kind of a lengthy revert, unfortunately. So we're going to do this section again. Kill these popcorns and just make our way back through again. This time we will do a better job of actually killing the hands off these enemies. Alright, we're gonna chill in here for a second.
Of course. The frigate.
Let them engage with the
still
flood.
have a chance.
And make our way downtown.
Find the doorway in the cliffs, Pete. The dawn is on the other side.
Right. Okay, most of the flood are dead this time, so don't really have to worry about them. These sentinels are still alive though, so they won't target you unless they're close to them, so we're just gonna pepper them from a distance. Alright, this room is also pretty scary because there's a bunch of sentinels, a bunch of flood, and we're just gonna try to run right past them, but if they see you, they can absolutely destroy you. But we have a bubble shield, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. We're gonna toss our bubble shield here. We actually wait for that flood to fall down before shooting him because it just knocked him back up. And now we're going to just use our gravity hammer to hammer our way through this hallway. So Bungie put a little surprise here, some popcorn here. If you just tried to run through them, you would die. I even almost died with a plasma rifle. And now we're to the famous Warthog run.
Come on, Spartan. Go, go, go!
Now we're just driving to the end of the game and the most swag way possible with our great music behind us. So there's going to be some exploding panels here, and we're going to take a specific driving path to avoid these exploding panels. Where their debris goes is completely random. So, and it could hit your Warthog and make you either lose all your speed or knock you off the edge and completely ruin your run. It is definitely not uncommon for a panel to ruin your run. It's happened to pretty much every Halo 3 runner. We have a joke that says you're not indoctrinated as a Halo 3 runner until you get paneled. So That's definitely a thing that can occur in this run. We're going to try and avoid the exploding panels and their debris as much as we possibly can, and while keeping as much speed as we possibly can. In these long hallway sections, we're going to try to minimize time in the air and take paths that maximizes downhill time as well. Because, as I mentioned earlier, the Warthog going downhill is the fastest vehicle in the game. So one interesting thing is that there's easy and normal have a different exploding pattern for the panels than heroic and legendary do, and so the driving patterns are different. So we're gonna slow down a little bit here to make this turn around the corner a lot easier. We don't really have to worry about the enemies. They don't really pose that much of a threat. We just drive through and try not to hit the carriers because they will flip you if they explode on you. And yeah, well, that's the second roundabout. Now we're just driving to the third roundabout. There are 3 roundabouts before we drive into the frigate, forward onto Dawn, before starting the events of Halo 4. And hopefully we don't have to deal with any panels here. I just noticed that sometimes Arby doesn't end up in your Warthog, and this time he didn't. And we're taking a path around this pillar here, which is a little safer because you can get panel over there, and hopefully these sentinels give me a little boost. And we're going to try to perform a trick called third roundabout skip. We're going to drive on this section of the ramp to drive on top of this part, and it completely skips the third roundabout. We don't have to drive all the way around. It also skips the spawns there. There's a bunch of spider forms that pew pew you into a wall if they're there, so I'm very glad that they're not there. Now we're just, this is our final hallway drive. I'm going to try to do some barrel roll swag here. I'm going to try to notch my Warthog on the end of this and do a barrel roll. Oh, I almost did a full one. I almost got knocked off too, which was a little scary. But that's just one of the swag things we go for. Some people have lost world record pace runs to trying to go for that barrel roll swag, which is kind of funny, but I had to go for it. And we are very close to the end of the game. There's just a little bit more driving. There's not too many threats in regards to panels, with besides my terrible driving that's occurring right now. We're just making our way up here. Going to go hard left here. That's where I would give like shoutouts and stuff. Shoutouts to HaloRuns.com. See, that's what I'm talking about with these panels. They can just completely eat your speed. And the time will end once we get aboard this frigate. Alright, that's Halo 3 Legendary. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys consider me for a run.